The midday sun poured across the private airport courtyard, throwing sharp shadows against a gleaming white jet that stood like a jewel inside the hangar. A cluster of executives and airline staff gathered nearby, their polished shoes echoing on the spotless concrete floor. The air carried a sharp blend of jet fuel and fresh polish. Into this carefully staged scene stepped a man who looked oddly out of place, like an imperfect brushstroke on a flawless painting. He was lean, his skin darkened by years beneath the sun. His cheeks hollow but strong, his hands hardened by decades of labor. His shirt hung in tatters, trousers frayed at the edges, and a bent straw hat sat crookedly on his head. A weathered leather bag dangled from his shoulder. As he walked forward, heads turned. Some lips curled into smirks, and hushed laughter slipped between cupped hands. To them, he was a misplaced farmer who had wandered into a world of billion-dollar jets and luxury suits. Before this story continues, if you believe in kindness, in the value of second chances, and in never judging a person by appearances, please take a moment to like this video, share it, leave a comment, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us spread stories that remind the world of humanity's true strength. The man's name was Ragav Sharma, a farmer whose life had been defined not by wealth or comfort, but by relentless toil. For most of his 70 years, he rose before dawn, shaping the earth with his bare hands, braving scorching summers and unforgiving rains. While others wore starched shirts and gleaming shoes, Ragav managed with patched clothes, worn sandals, and the same straw hat he had kept for nearly 20 years. To strangers, he looked like nothing more than an old, struggling farmer clinging to a meager life. But beneath the dust and dirt lay a truth no one could see. Over decades, Ragav quietly bought abandoned plots of land, coaxing them back to life with patience and care until they flourished again. His farmlands stretched farther than most could imagine, across valleys, hills, and states. His harvests of grains, fruits, and vegetables fed not only his country but markets across oceans. His wise investments multiplied, until his fortune surpassed even that of the men who mocked him now. And yet, he never changed his ways. He cared nothing for gold watches or tailored suits. His happiness was in hearing crops rustle in the wind, feeling the soil under his feet, and guiding young farmers toward prosperity. As Ragav stood by the jet, a young executive leaned to his colleague and sneered loud enough for him to hear. "What's he doing here? Must have wandered off the fields." The group chuckled. Ragav lowered his gaze, not in shame, but with patience. He had endured such words all his life. Bank clerks had once mocked his torn clothes when he applied for loans. Traders had laughed at his appearance when he tried to sell produce. To them, he was invisible unless he carried money in hand. But today, the irony was heavy. The very jet they were preparing belonged to him. Laughter still lingered when a man in a dark navy suit approached. His name was Adir Malhotra, an ambitious manager who thrived on flaunting his connections with the wealthy. Pointing a finger at Ragav, he mocked, "Old man, this is private property. You don't belong here." Behind him, attendants stifled their chuckles, treating the scene as light entertainment. Ragav's face remained calm, his eyes weathered with decades of storms they could never understand. He didn't argue, didn't shout. He simply stood. Silent, steady, and unsettling enough to break their rhythm of ridicule. From the far side of the hangar, the airport director entered with 2 assistants. His voice carried authority as he spoke. "Mr. Sharma, your jet is ready. The pilots await your instructions. Shall we prepare refreshments before your flight?" The crowd froze. Laughter choked mid-breath. Adir's face drained of color as the truth struck. This man he had mocked was not a beggar. Not a confused farmer, but the owner of the very jet behind them. Murmurs rippled, women in uniform gasped softly, their smiles fading into awe. Ragav nodded politely to the director and walked past the stunned group. He neither gloated nor returned their insults. A lifetime had taught him there was no need to prove himself to those who measured worth in fabric and shine. He climbed the jet's stairs with steady steps, his head held high. Inside, as the aircraft hummed to life, Ragav gazed through the window at the runway. Memories returned. The nights his wife stitched his clothes by lantern light. The days his children walked to school barefoot because shoes were too costly. The first harvest he sold for a price so low he almost quit. He remembered the jeers of neighbors who mocked him for buying barren land, the traders who dismissed him as a fool. Yet those hardships had forged his strength. The jet rose into the sky, carrying not just a man but a lifetime of perseverance. Below, the ones who had ridiculed him stood speechless, their pride broken by the lesson unfolding before them. Never judge a soul by their clothes. For true wealth is not stitched in fabric or weighed in gold. When the plane leveled above the clouds, Ragav closed his eyes and whispered a prayer of gratitude. Not for riches, not for land, not even for power. He gave thanks for the strength to remain the humble farmer he had always been. His fortune had never changed his heart. He still walked his fields every morning. He still fed the hungry, funded schools, and built villages where children once had no hope. That was his true wealth, the wealth of kindness, humility, and generosity. And so, Ragav Sharma's story is not about riches counted in banks or contracts signed in glass towers. It is about the richness of spirit, the quiet dignity of a man who rose above mockery without bitterness, and who reminded the world that appearances may deceive, but character always reveals. If this story touched your heart, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Every small act of support helps us bring more inspiring stories like this to life.